Hi everyone, this is John Girardi with Right to Life of Central California, bringing you another video in our 40 Videos for 40 Days for Life series. 40 Days for Life is the international campaign of prayer and presence outside abortion clinics throughout the country and throughout the world. If you want to learn more about our 40 Days for Life campaign here in Fresno, you can visit us at www.rtlcc.org or give us a call at 559-229-2229. On today's video, I'd like to talk a little bit about the most commonly asked question I get when I'm speaking to young people, which is about abortion in instances of rape. It is always the first and foremost question that I get when I present for younger audiences. And it is probably the chief justification that people give for being pro-choice. Abortion in cases of rape is obviously the most difficult thing to sort of advance the pro-life position. I think in essentially any other case of pregnancy, there is at some point an argument of, well, the woman did the thing that was that led to the child being conceived. It was foreseeable that you would get pregnant if you engaged in sexual activity. Even if you were using a condom, even if you were using contraception, it's still foreseeable that this can happen. Ergo, the duty is on you to take care of this baby, to carry this baby to term and not to kill this baby. People are much more accepting of that, but obviously that equation is very different in the case of rape. And so how do we respond to it? I think the response has to come from the concept that I talk about a lot on these videos, which is the idea of the spectrum of disability, as my former professor Carter Snead puts it, or the spectrum of dependence. That basically all of us have in our lives persons to whom we have duties of care, and there are persons who have duties of care to us. And these are often duties of care that we inherit and that we can't get rid of. That they're not things that we chose or wanted, but they are nonetheless binding. The best example of this, I think, is with a child with adult parents. My parents are obviously getting older. If they should ever get very, very sick, I would be obligated as their child to take care of them. It's not something I want. I don't want my parents to get very sick. I don't want to have to take care of them hand and foot. But if I have to, I will, because I am obligated to do so because of this natural tie of affection that is between us, this natural tie of kinship and filiation that is between us. And if I don't, I am rightly looked on by society as a piece of crap. These are, and it's not something that I can, nonetheless, it's not something I agreed to. It's not something I wanted. It's not something I contractually said, yes, I signed on the dotted line that I'm going to take care of my parents. It's nonetheless an obligation. I think we have to say that the obligation of a woman to her child is not to engage in active acts of trying to kill that child, even if that child comes about through a circumstance that was unwilling or coerced. We all have duties of care, including that duty of care to the child. Now, the situation of a woman who has conceived in an instance of rape calls upon all of us, including society, including family, including private charitable entities, and public entities. The instance of a woman who has suffered through an act of rape, it calls on all of us to provide these duties of care to that woman. I don't ever want to give the impression that the duty of care, the only duty of care that exists here, is to the mother to her child. That's not at all the duty of care that should be seen here. And why do we have the duty of care to that child? Well, because that child is a human person. I like whenever I talk about the example of abortion in an instance of rape, I always try to talk about a woman I know named Rebecca Kissling. Rebecca Kissling is a pro-life speaker who I got to meet. She spoke at Notre Dame when I was a student there. She's a lawyer. She's a mother. She's a wife. She has several children. She adopted 2 children. She's just a person that you would get to know and say hi to and be friendly with and meet, a person with happiness and sadness and joys and sorrows, just like any of us. And she was conceived in an act of rape. and her birth mother very courageously placed her in an adoption. She has a good relationship with her birth mother. She has a good relationship. She has her adoptive parents also. And we just sort of I think a lot of the arguments in favor of abortion in cases of rape just overlook the fact that the unborn child is also, even if conceived in rape, a member of the community to whom we owe bonds of affection and respect and care. And that we have to do absolutely everything in our power to assist the woman who is conceived in rape, but we cannot have our assistance to that woman go to the extent of allowing the child in her womb to be actively killed. That is the one that has to be the non-negotiable, that we cannot provide a duty of care to this woman by grievously violating the duty of care that we have to that child. So I think it's difficult to talk about those situations, but I think to be forthright with kids, as I was, I think it wound up having a decent effect, and it's about as good an explanation as you can give. The thing I like to say to people, though, when they say, I'm pro-life, but I think abortion's okay in cases of rape, what I try to say is, well, hey, we're getting somewhere. You're 99% pro-life, given that rape is just an incredibly small percentage of all abortions that take place in America. So anyway, it's a very difficult topic to deal with. I hope maybe my thoughts on it have helped you think through the question better. For Right to Life of Central California, I'm John.